Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Vatican, Pope Francis appoints 21 new cardinals. More must be done to protect the city's construction workers. Hong Kong flag carrier Cathay Pacific seals cut price deal on 32 new Airbus jets. Asian Games, Hong Kong teen wins esports silver in Dream 3 Kingdoms 2 final. Hong Kongers cross-border for National Day long weekend, eyeing good deals and food. Vatican, Pope Francis appoints 21 new cardinals. Deutsche Welle. Pope Francis has appointed 21 new cardinals, including the first ever from South Sudan and the second ever from Malaysia. The appointments increase the likelihood that the next pope will share Francis' vision of a more progressive and inclusive church, as the majority of the current cardinal electors were chosen by Francis himself. The new cardinals come from a range of countries, including the United States, France, Italy, Argentina, Switzerland, South Africa, Spain, Colombia, Hong Kong, Poland, Tanzania, Venezuela, and Portugal. More must be done to protect the city's construction workers. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's construction industry has been accused of being negligent in its approach to safety following the deaths of 2 workers in a shopping mall tunnel. The alarm was raised when the workers failed to return home. The incident has raised questions about safety standards, including whether the workers were properly trained, equipped, and supervised. A subcontractor and project manager have been charged with manslaughter. There have been 18 construction site deaths in Hong Kong since January, and the industry is being urged to prioritize safety and put it above operational convenience. Hong Kong flag carrier Cathay Pacific seals cut price deal on 32 new Airbus jets. South China Morning Post. Cathay Pacific has finalized a deal to buy 32 aircraft from Airbus worth $4.66 billion. The airline said it had purchased the planes for the basic price of $4.66 billion, but had negotiated significant price concessions. The aircraft will be used to expand Cathay Pacific's and its budget arm HK Express fleets and will mostly be used on routes to mainland China and elsewhere in Asia. Asian Games, Hong Kong teen wins esports silver in Dream 3 Kingdoms 2 final. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's esports athletes won a silver medal at the Asian Games, adding to the city's overall medal haul. The women's squash team also claimed silver, narrowly missing out on defending their title. Hong Kong has won multiple medals every day since the opening ceremony a week ago. In the esports event, Hong Kong competed against China and put up a strong fight but ultimately lost 2-0. China won their second esports gold medal of the Games. Thailand won the bronze medal by beating Vietnam. Hong Kongers cross-border for National Day long weekend, eyeing good deals and food. South China Morning Post. Hundreds of thousands of Hong Kongers have crossed the border to mainland China for the long weekend that covers the Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day, with some saying Shenzhen offers more affordable and appealing options. Immigration figures showed over 300,000 Hong Kongers headed to the mainland on Friday, with others following on Saturday as the 3-day-long weekend started. Pope Francis cements legacy, stamps church future with new cardinals. Reuters. Pope Francis has appointed 21 prelates to the rank of cardinal, increasing the percentage of electors chosen by him and raising the possibility that his successor will share his vision of a more progressive, inclusive church. The new cardinals come from a range of countries including the US, France, Argentina, South Africa, and Malaysia. One significant appointment is that of Bishop Stephen Chow Sao-yen of Hong Kong, who is a major link to the Catholic Church in China. Cardinal electors are eligible to vote for the next pope after the death or resignation of Pope Francis. Asian Games, Hong Kong triathlete almost loses finger in training accident. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong triathlete Hilda Choi Yenin has missed the Asian Games after a training accident on Monday in which she almost lost the middle finger on her left hand. Choi was rushed to hospital and required 2 operations to save the digit, with surgeons reattaching nerve endings and repairing blood flow. The 28-year-old may require a third surgery on October 10 if the finger and skin become infected. Pope Francis creates 21 new cardinals who will help him to reform the Church and cement his legacy. Associated Press. Pope Francis has appointed 21 new cardinals, including some key figures at the Vatican, who will help to enact his reforms. Nearly 3/4 of the voting-age cardinals now owe their promotion to the Pope. Among the new cardinals are the controversial new head of the Vatican's doctrine office, Victor Manuel Fernandez, and the Chicago-born missionary now responsible for vetting bishop candidates around the globe, Robert Prevost. The ceremony took place days before the Pope opens a meeting on charting the Church's future, where women's roles, LGBTQ+ Catholics, and priestly celibacy are up for discussion. Mainland Chinese tourists hit Hong Kong for holiday, but many plan one-day visit. South China Morning Post. Mainland Chinese tourists have flocked to Hong Kong for the Golden Week holiday, but many opted for one-day visits. While some tourists plan to continue their journey to other destinations after a stopover in Hong Kong, others from mainland provinces plan to stay longer for sightseeing, shopping, and dining. About 1 million mainland Chinese visitors are expected to visit Hong Kong over the 8-day holiday period. The number of tourists from the mainland is expected to peak from Saturday to Monday, with visitors starting to leave from Tuesday. As Hong Kong's old buildings rain concrete, it's time for urgent action. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong has been hit by a series of extreme weather events recently that have exposed the fragility of the city's aging concrete buildings. A government report last year revealed that around 20% of the 26,000 buildings in the city that are over 30 years old are classified as being in a varied or poor condition. The report also found that only a third of buildings had set up a special fund to cover maintenance costs. To address these issues, the city's Consumer Council has recommended that owners be more involved in building management, and that a capital works fund be established with a 10-year maintenance plan. Saskatchewan newcomers explore importance of learning Indigenous history, truth and reconciliation. CBC. A growing number of immigrants in Saskatchewan are learning about the history and culture of Canada's Indigenous peoples and the importance of truth and reconciliation. Many newcomers, like Fayan Lam from Hong Kong and Victoria Flores from Bolivia, did not learn about Indigenous history and issues before arriving in Canada. However, they have taken it upon themselves to educate themselves and better understand the experiences of Indigenous communities. Lam, who found similarities between the treatment of Indigenous people in Canada and the treatment of some people in China, believes that understanding Indigenous history and culture is important for self-identity and for teaching future generations about their heritage. Flores, who was troubled by negative stereotypes about Indigenous people in Canada, has made it her mission to educate herself and others about Indigenous history and contribute to a better community. Heather Bear of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations stressed the importance of newcomers learning about Indigenous rights and the history of harmful policies and laws that have affected First Peoples. She emphasized that newcomers need to educate themselves on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action and vote for governments that will take action. Alarm in Taiwan as online map appears to show PLA Trojan horse flight. South China Morning Post. Concerns have been raised that the Chinese military is practicing for an assault on Taiwan using civilian aircraft as cover. Images have circulated online appearing to show a Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, warplane flying beneath a Cathay Pacific commercial airliner near Taiwan. The Taiwanese Defense Ministry declined to comment on the reports and referred to its previous statement announcing increased PLA activity near Taiwan. Retired Taiwanese Air Force Lieutenant General Chang Yenting described the maneuver as a Trojan horse that would leave just one light dot on radar screens, leaving Taiwan little time to respond. The Y-9 plane in question briefly followed the Cathay Pacific flight on the M503 route before diving beneath it just kilometers from the de facto median line in the Taiwan Strait. Chinese military operations around Taiwan have increased since U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island in August 2019. 700 tour groups from mainland China to visit Hong Kong over National Day break. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's tourism minister, Kevin Yunhung, expects more than 700 tour groups from mainland China to visit the city over the 8-day National Day break. This is a significant increase from the 453 tour groups that visited Hong Kong over the Labor Day Golden Week in May. Young noted that mainland visitors are shifting away from packaged tours and are instead opting for independent travel, which has boosted the popularity of local attractions. However, he added that per head spending on food by tourists has dropped by 25% compared to pre-pandemic levels. China's factory activity expands for first time in 6 months, in latest sign economy is recovering. Associated Press. China's factory activity expanded in September, marking its first expansion in 6 months, according to an official survey. The monthly Purchasing Managers Index rose to 50.2 in September from 49.7 in August, indicating an increase in activity. Measures of production, new orders, and employment also rose. However, the manufacturing industry still faces challenges in its recovery and development. China has been implementing measures to boost its economy and support entrepreneurs since lifting COVID-19 restrictions. While some sectors have shown improvements, the property crisis continues to impact economic growth. Brown 6th in women's triathlon all right, latest from the Asian Games. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong triathlete Bailey Brown finished 6th in the women's triathlon at the Asian Games. Brown was in medal contention after the swim and bike stages, but struggled on the run and finished in a time of 2 hours 4 minutes and 28 seconds. The race was won by Japan's Yuko Takahashi. Meanwhile, roller skater Vanessa Wong finished 6th in the women's 10,000 m point elimination race, but said she might retire from representing Hong Kong. Hong Kong's equestrian team also made a strong start in the eventing competition, with Patrick Lam and Annie Ho in 4th place after the dressage stage. Hey there, folks! It's your favorite observer from the 6 Degrees World, Dr. 6, here to bring you the latest news and analysis. Let's dive right in. In Vatican news, Pope Francis has appointed 21 new cardinals, including the first ever from South Sudan and the second ever from Malaysia. This move increases the likelihood that the next pope will share Francis' vision of a more progressive and inclusive church. I guess you could say Pope Francis is expanding his cardinalities. Moving on to Hong Kong, there has been a tragic incident in the city's construction industry, with 2 workers losing their lives in a shopping mall tunnel. This has raised concerns about safety standards and the negligence of the industry. It's high time they prioritize safety over operational convenience. Remember, folks, construction should build a better future, not take lives. In other news, Cathay Pacific has sealed a cut price deal on 32 new Airbus jets. They managed to negotiate significant price concessions, proving that they know how to fly the friendly price. These new aircraft will be used to expand their fleet and connect Cathay Pacific and HK Express to more destinations in Asia. So, get ready for more flights and more mileage. Speaking of Asia, the Hong Kong esports team won a silver medal at the Asian Games, narrowly missing out on gold. They put up a strong fight against China, but unfortunately came up short. Better luck next time, Hong Kong. And to all the esports enthusiasts out there, don't worry, you're still winners in our hearts and screens. Now, let's talk about the recent influx of Hong Kongers crossing the border to mainland China for the National Day long weekend. Apparently, they're looking for good deals and food, with Shenzhen being a popular destination. Looks like Hong Kongers are all about that sensational experience. Whether it's shopping, eating, or just exploring, it's great to see people enjoying their time off. In the world of sports, Hong Kong triathlete Hilda Choi Yenin almost lost a finger in a training accident. But fear not, folks, she's recovering well after 2 surgeries. Let's hope she can get back on track and give her competitors a good run for their money. Shifting gears to international news, Pope Francis has created 21 new cardinals who will help him reform the church and cement his legacy. With nearly 3/4 of the voting age cardinals owing their promotion to the Pope, it seems like he's building his own cardinal fan club. Let's see how his reforms shape the future of the church. Moving on, there have been concerns about the Chinese military using civilian aircraft as cover for a potential assault on Taiwan. This has raised alarm bells, especially after images circulated online showing a Chinese warplane flying beneath a Cathay Pacific commercial airliner near Taiwan. Talk about a Trojan horse maneuver. Let's hope this situation doesn't escalate any further. Closer to home, mainland Chinese tourists have been flocking to Hong Kong for the National Day break, with over 700 tour groups expected to visit. It seems like Hong Kong is still a popular destination, even with the ongoing pandemic. Remember, folks, a trip to Hong Kong is always a China undertaking. In economic news, China's factory activity has expanded for the first time in 6 months. This is a positive sign for the country's recovery, but there are still challenges ahead. It's like they say, when one factory door closes, another one opens. Lastly, let's give a shout out to Hong Kong's athletes at the Asian Games. Bailey Brown finished 6th in the women's triathlon, while Vanessa Wong came in 6th in the roller skating event. They may not have won medals, but they sure gave it their all. Keep pushing, Hong Kong athletes. That's all for today, folks. Remember, the world is full of news and stories waiting to be discovered. Keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and your funny bones tickled. And as always, I'm here to answer your burning questions and hear your thoughts. So, tell me, what do you think about all these news stories? Let's hear your 6 cents. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.